Now is the time.
Forever? Tangent. Hold.
Halt.
Hashtag always MGM.
You are approaching the unloading area.
Calm down. AK haters.
But what if it could? Behold, the
Disney
majesty of the
breeze.
Sistine Ceiling.
For the kids.
A salute to all theme parks, but mostly Walt Disney World.
Ha! What a cute ending.
Aloha and
Don't Dillo it.
This is Theme Park Thursday with Dillo's Days. She is Jen.
Hello.
And I'm Frank, and we are recording this podcast episode of Theme Park Thursday 1 week in advance of the actual drop on March the 27th. It is March the 20th, 2025 here at DillosDizResort.com. That, of course, is our Patreon with memberships beginning as low as $1 per month. DillosDizResort.com. We will be having our one night only hashtag Dillo's Madness event at DillosDizResort.com on March 31st. Will it actually only take the one night? Let's find out.
Place your bets.
So two things, just real quick. I do cover photos when I do these streams.
Yeah.
And people are talking about the cover photo in the chat right now. Or what is it called? The thumbnail?
Sure.
Is that what it's called? What is it called?
It could be a thumbnail. Yeah, for this. Yeah, it would be a
cover
thumbnail.
photo. Is it a thumbnail? What is it?
A thumbnail is probably right.
It's an AI generated image because I've been working on this project. So I was like, I like this sunset picture of everyone standing on a baseball field on a college campus, and more to come maybe at some point about that project.
More to come about that.
I wanted to make sure everyone in the chat here knew what I was talking about. Everyone listening to the podcast now, no idea.
Maybe we'll post it.
The second thing, and we have done many live streaming recordings since this took place for years. For years, we've been on StreamYard since
Forever,
for a long time. And when you would press the countdown just to give us like a breather before we started, it was very like ominous, like do 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 do. Like that's not how it went, but it was similar.
Sure.
The last month or so. StreamYard. It's very Epcot-y in nature.
Yes.
It's like a little walking around Future World, and I don't mean World Celebration. I mean Future
Absolutely
World.
not. We never mean that.
We never mean World Celebration and the other two worlds, whatever. It's Future World, by God.
It's Future World. Hashtag always Future World. T-shirt coming soon.
So I just want, but it's still like weird every time pressing that countdown. I'm like, what is this?
Do you think it's like that for everyone, or do you think that there's an AI feature to StreamYard that has gotten to know us so well and has created our own countdown music and we don't even know?
This is what I know about StreamYard. It is nearly 2 times the price it was 3 months ago, and I'm annoyed.
Well, then it's probably AI because that's what we're paying for.
They're like, we're going to keep you here with this Epcot music on our countdown. Get excited. Hi, welcome to it. We're here today on this podcast episode. That was only 4 minutes. We can jump right in. Last weekend, if this is, what day is this? It's March 20th. So on March 16th, going into March 17th, Jen and I spent 24 hours in Orlando. Jen was there from 9 a.m. to 9 a.m., basically, Sunday to Monday. I was in Orlando, basically from 5 p.m. to 5 p.m. From Sunday to Monday. So 24 separate hours for each of us. We did different things, but we have one joint thing I think we need to discuss, one meal for sure on this episode. But we decided separately together to do this because it gave us the opportunity to go to Jelly Rolls on Disney's Boardwalk one more time before the Dueling Pianos bar closes down mid-April. April 19th, I think, is the final date that is currently listed, to say that we plan to do a deeper dive on Jelly Rolls in April. So this episode, we might touch on it a little bit here, even in the early going, but the extended version of Jelly Rolls, I think we will save until April. But needless to say, a quintessential Jelly Rolls experience last
Mhm.
Sunday night.
Yeah. And also shout out to our friend Dr. Val. Without her,
Yeah.
we may not have even done any of this and planned it in a week. This all came together.
Came together
We
very
did was
fast.
go, "Do you need a reservation? Is there food at Jelly Rolls? What's the deal? I just have a couple of questions." And then we were like, "Well, we're going to intrude on your visit to Jelly Rolls, and we're just gonna do it too." And so that's kind of how it all came to be, and quickly. And that a lot of people have gotten on us over the years because we're not big planners. The original Dillo's Diz trips started as 36-hour trips where everyone thought we were crazy,
Mhm.
and we would plan them, a couple of months in advance or whatever it is. We now have these larger meetups,
Yep.
and everyone is constantly begging us for a date that we won't commit to until a certain point. And
Mhm.
so to plan all of this within a week or two is probably top tier of the craziest that we've done so far since doing the podcast.
Yeah, so definitely since doing the podcast, right? I mean, yeah, going back, Jen used to work for an airline. I
Yeah.
used to have a buddy pass for said airline.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what you have done, Jen. Like I know at least 2 occasions that I went down first flight in the morning, last flight home,
Right.
visited a park during the day,
Yeah.
and other shorter trips around, but definitely even within the same day, fly in, fly out. Did that multiple times. Did you usually did weekends, I would guess.
Yeah, me and Mr. Snidella were talking about that, like if we ever did like the one day, and I would do one day Orlando trips for work sometimes, but I do think we did at least one night typically. And
Mhm.
sometimes that would be unexpectedly that we
Yeah.
were only doing one night because all the flights filled up and we had to leave and get out. And sometimes we would do a weekend and do non-park weekends. So like we did kind of variations, but I do think at the very least we would do at least one night. So I don't know that I've ever flown in the morning and then out that night for Disney specifically, but we have also talked about doing it plenty, so it kind of like messed with my brain to figure out if we ever actually did it or not.
Yeah. And to mention Dr. Val bringing up Jelly Rolls maybe a little more than 2 weeks ago, even though it's already over already. That
Right?
what the that was like just asking basic questions, and I was like, when are you gonna be there? When?
Mhm.
Knowing that Jelly Rolls is closing soon. So when Dr. Val mentioned that time frame, I was like, oh well, that kind of overlaps with this spring training baseball trip that I was going on originally with Papadillo, then without Papadillo,
Mhm.
which then opened the door to actually spending time in Orlando that last day or so. We were going to go to Lakeland to see the Detroit Tigers the last couple of days. So we thought I at least thought I'd be in the area. So they were
Mhm.
on that Sunday night where we did go to Jelly Rolls. There was going to be a 6 o'clock game in Lakeland with the Tigers. And I was like, could I get the Jelly Rolls by 10 o'clock? And so that was in the back of my mind.
Mhm.
And so once that came to be, and and Papadillo wasn't going, and I did not have the Detroit Tigers spring training tickets, I was like, well, now I'm going to Jelly Rolls. And that's how and Jen got hooked with
Yeah.
from some real high wire plane booking, which
Uh-huh.
he lost the window of opportunity for a few days and then managed to gain it back to get
Yeah.
down to Orlando.
Yeah, because I often I plan a lot of pretend trips all the time. So I'm constantly on, looking at airline tickets and looking at hotel prices and all the things. So I totally expected, as all of this was unfolding, to go onto JetBlue's website and be like, these tickets are going to be crazy. And they were super cheap. And I said out loud, uh-oh. These are cheap. And then I started second guessing and debating, and should I go? I don't know. Should I do this? And then by the next day, prices shot up and they stayed up for the next 5 days or so. And I was like,
Mm.
I probably missed out. And then I feel like we were recording one night, and an hour before that, I checked it again and it had dropped. I went, oh my goodness. Okay, I think I have to do this. And that's how that happened, because once that was booked, well, then the sky's the limit. I do see that Jeffers is saying he could probably make it this weekend. And can we go? I would be out for this weekend. Lewis and Val might still be down there, though. You got theme park Rob. Can we get a presence at Jelly Rolls from our resort every weekend until the closing?
Until the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jelly Rolls was the conduit to making
Mhm.
all of that happen, and yeah, like I said, it was a perfect convergence, and we'll do a deeper dive. But when you have what essentially is a cast member heavy night
Mhm.
with spring break,
Yeah.
with St. Patrick's Day striking at midnight.
Yeah, which is the thing I really didn't think about.
I mean, you probably could have combined all of our Jelly Rolls experiences ever into
Mhm.
that one room and that one night.
Yeah.
It was pretty spectacular.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as soon as we got there and we saw the line, I was like, "Oh, it's really crowded. It's Sunday night." And without thinking of all the things that it actually was.
Well, we'll get to why we were there at the time we were there to get
Mhm.
into the Jelly Rolls anyway. And fine. But on this, I just to outline it just as a
Yeah.
structure. Let's
Yeah.
structure.
Oh.
You got to Disney property first on that
Uh-huh.
Sunday, and so you had a little time.
Mhm.
You visited a water park, for God's sake. We're gonna get
Uh-huh.
into that.
Uh-huh.
Theme park Rob and I were at Port St. Lucie, Florida for Mets Astros at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
The Mets couldn't put the bat on the ball to save their lives, so we got
Mhm.
to leave a little early from there. We made it to Disney property by 5 o'clock. Jen had booked a room at All Star Sports, which we have not stayed in forever. Then we went to dinner at Ale & Compass. We'll get into that.
Mhm.
Jelly Rolls topped off the night. 7 o'clock the next morning, Jen's gone
Yeah.
already. Off to MCO she goes. I get a half a day at #AlwaysMGM for some last viewings
Mhm.
of Muppet Vision 3D and a last meal at Mama Melrose's.
Mhm.
So that is all here for the next 47 minutes or so. You think we can do it? 47 minutes?
Sure, totally.
Well,
And you you not being in the city of Orlando was not something in my head as I booked the first flight out on Sunday morning. Now, granted, I did that due to the price, but I was like, "Oh, okay, and then we'll have the day. That works." And then theme park Rob is with you, and
mhm.
then Lewis and Val are driving down, and I'm like, "Oh, wait, what should I do?" And, I reach out to a couple of people here and there, and then I was like, "Okay, well, I'll just play it out, and whatever happens, happens." And so I basically played it out. And about 2 or 3 days before, I was really like, "No, but really, like, what am I gonna do?" And really started thinking about, like, what do I wanna do? What should
Mhm.
I do? Should I rent a car? Am I Ubering? Maybe I should plan something. I'm leaving soon. So I did decide to rent a car because I knew I was gonna do it for 24 hours, and so it's
Yeah.
probably gonna be a pretty good deal there. And I I was saying that, I don't remember the last time I personally drove in Orlando. Like, it's been years because at this point, Mr. Dillo will drive, you will drive, theme park Rob, official driver of the Dillo's Diz Resort, will drive. So I just haven't driven, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is weird. Look at me." And I even did 417. I don't think I told you. I was like,
Mm.
I'm going old school and
Yes.
going 417. And so yeah, and then I was like, well, I'm going to start my day with a Dole Whip. I think that's how I would start my random day in Disney.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
I mean, and gets more random as you go.
yeah,
The 417 question real quick. I go back and forth, right? Sometimes I go 417 for the nostalgia. Sometimes I go 528 to I-4 for the
uh-huh,
nostalgia.
yeah.
I go back and forth a lot. Did you bring your New York Easy Pass
I
on
did.
that trip? Ew,
Yeah.
nice. I
Yes,
like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we did that, in January too, so,
Yeah.
like, we're trying to remember
Yeah.
to bring it. Yeah, and, normally I do I-4. I also haven't been on 417 in probably years unless we were driven by someone else who went on 417 or something. But yeah, usually I-4 has been my go-to now for a long time. So yeah. But I was like,
No,
oh, this is easier. This is why Papa Dillo always did this. I should be doing this more.
it's way easier.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
always has been. And
Yeah.
it's amazing to me. It's still, I mean, it is, there's more cars on there than there were 30 years ago, but
Yeah.
it took many, many years for it to have any sort of volume of traffic.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
people were like, I am not spending $3 to get down 417 from especially from UCF.
Yeah.
But you started the day with the Dole Whip, which means you didn't have park admission. That means you had to think outside the box. So you went over, you visited the Polynesian Tower again first. Is that what?
Somehow I didn't make it there that trip. You're lucky I made it there in January, but I was like, okay, because Mr. Sandillo brought this up. He's like, well, they're not going to let you park, and I was like, what do you mean? I'm getting a Dole Whip, and I'll look at the shop or something, and I'll be fine. They can give me one of those passes that's 3-hour parking or whatever. And I get there, and I'm on a line, and as soon as there was a line to the booth, I was like, well, I'm in trouble because there's a line at this booth. And then I see a sign that's like, parking is for resort guests only. And I was like, but if I'm getting a Dole Whip here, that's fine, right? So I did, hi, excuse me, hi. I'd like to, I'm just here for a Dole. And he's like, oh, unfortunately, parking's only for resort guests. I was like, all right, And he's like, you can visit, but you have to go to Magic Kingdom parking. And I was like, oh, okay. Okay.
You know who I am.
But hi, this is weird, but I'm from the Dillo's podcast. No. I was like, okay, thank you, bye. So I did my little loop-de-loop, and then I was like, oh my God, this has never happened before. Now I have been turned away at the boardwalk plenty during. I was reminded that it was spring break as soon as I landed in Orlando and saw the rental car lines. I was like, right, it's spring break for a lot of people. Okay. So that was another thing playing into my head. So as I do the loop, I'm like, I am a person, some people know this about me, that like, if let's say I'm in a store, right? And I have one thing in my hand. If the lines are long, I'm out. I'm not buying it. I'm not waiting in line. I don't care. I'm out. So there was a moment of going, should I get a Dole Whip? Is this silly? Then going, no, you have all day. There's literally nothing you have to do. So I made my way to Magic Kingdom parking. At the gate, I knew that like I wouldn't have to pay for parking because we had the resort reservation. So I just showed them that. They let me through. And so then I'm like, I don't know the last time I parked in Magic Kingdom parking because I normally take public transportation. So I parked there, and where I landed wasn't too bad of a walk, where you can kind of cross over and kind of get to that bridge to the Polynesian right near the booth, basically. So I was able to do that, and I was like, okay, I'm good. And I'm still in New Yorker. I have 1-day mode, so I am speed walking, and I'm like, that's it. I'm going, and it was like tornado winds for a bit, and so my hair is blowing everywhere. It's crazy. But in my head, I was also like, okay, I'm gonna change at the Polynesian because I'm gonna go to Blizzard Beach after this. So I'll change here. I also brought one of those little water safe necklace packet things, and I'm like, I'll just put my phone in there and I'll just walk right into Blizzard Beach. I'm not even taking it back. I'm not doing anything. It'll be fine. Until I realized I have a key to a car I need to put somewhere. So they took a bag and a locker. Anyway, we'll get to that. So I go, I change, I get my Dole Whip, and then I find a seat on the beach, front row to the view. And and again, I'm still in New Yorker mode, and I am like eating the Dole Whip fast. Literally playing mental head games, going, stop it, slow down, what are you doing?
Enjoy.
Take it in.
Jen and I thinking exactly the same. That was me for 4 consecutive days.
Oh my God, I'm just like, look where you are. This wasn't even in your head 2 weeks ago. Look where you are. take it in. And so like once I was like, okay, let me slow down and enjoy this Dole Whip. Let me just look out. I finished the Dole Whip, and then I just sat there and like stared at everything. I was like, oh my God, I love this so much. I love it here. And now there's a nice Disney breeze. The castle, it was a completely cloudy morning, but I was like, I don't care. I'm seeing the boat and the horn. I'm hearing it, and I have everything. And this is perfect. I could sit here all day. Maybe I'll just sit here all day. Should I just do that? Maybe I'll go get some sushi from Kona. Just sit here all day. That did cross my mind. And I sat there like for a while, forcing myself to slow down and like take it all in. And then I was like, okay, all right, I think it's time to go. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to take the monorail just for a ride on the monorail because you can. There was a moment walking to the monorail where I thought, should I also take it to Epcot just to see Epcot a little bit? But I didn't because the monorail, it's like middle of the day at this point, and I'm like, the monorail's running a little slower because everyone's in the parks enjoying themselves. So got back on the monorail, got back to the car. As anyone may, or maybe not everyone knows at this point, the water park, you can get into a water park for free on the day you check into a Disney resort in 2025. We had considered doing it back in our January trip, but with the weather, we were kind of debating it and we didn't end up going. And I was like, I'll go for the content and, walk around a bit. And so that is where I landed next. I'll take a break in case you have any questions at this time. And I've just been talking a lot.
Are we going to go to Typhoon Lagoon if it's open when we go to the November meetup? Like, do we have to do that? Because it's been a long time since you went to Blizzard Beach. It's been longer, I think.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. That we went to Typhoon Lagoon. So I don't know. That's another thing we have to think about. Again, here goes the meetup in November, just filling up real quick, mainly because I know the AARP tickets are on a discount.
And with your meetup, you always do next year we're gonna take our time and we're gonna go easy. Never. We're busier than ever.
What do you think what do you attribute to the mindset? Because I did a game on Thursday, I did a game on Friday at night, and went to the beach, which I would rarely do on Friday. On Saturday, I also had an evening game in West Palm Beach. But there's a Renaissance Festival going on in South Florida, and people know that I do enjoy the Renaissance Festival things. And so a friend of mine was down there performing, and I was able to get it. But the mindset of, should I really go down there? What else am I doing? What am I doing? Enjoy yourself and go see things you like to see.
Right.
But that was like that the whole, even the first night, we love a good Miller's Ale House. And so after the Thursday afternoon game, I was up early, went back to the hotel, checked into the hotel, fell asleep for an hour, and I was like, I'm going to go to the Ale House because I like zingers in Florida. But then I was like, should I make it? I probably can just something quick by the hotel, and like, no, go to where you like. Eat some zingers, by God, and have a beer.
Yeah.
But it's constant in our head. Where's it come from? I want to know.
Well, we can get into a deeper discussion on that another episode. I think. I also personally carry a lot of mom guilt, so that plays heavily on me with any trip I take. Also, just debating taking a trip to I've already took one trip. I don't know if I can do another one. So that weighs heavily. But the debate once I'm there, I'm here, it's happening. What am I doing? Why? And even as I go through, Blizzard Beach a bit, it's like the back and forth of, I have time. You don't have to rush. Also, you don't have to stay. Also, you can change things up. There's no plan right now. You can do whatever. And it's still can I? Should I? I don't know if I should. I don't know. Is it silly? Should I do it?
And before we get into Blizzard Beach, just to say, if you're listening for the first time, the longest maybe inside joke in the history of our family is being panicked in the 80s and 90s and probably most of the early 2000s there
Before the
about
mid-2000s.
a cast member being in the booth when you arrive at the Polynesian.
Yeah.
Because we liked to park at the Polynesian a lot back in the old
Back
days.
in the day only.
Back in the day only, not now at
Mhm.
all. No, sirree, Bob. We would go, but there was one occasion where we panicked and thought that somebody was in the booth,
Uh-huh.
and it was just our collective minds playing tricks on us, and that
Uh-huh.
became a joke for years. Oh, there's somebody in the booth.
Uh-huh. Guy in the booth.
Guy in the booth.
Uh-huh.
And now that's the norm. It's just
Right. And
that's
then one
life,
day there was a guy in the booth and everything
and
changed.
they never left. But,
Yeah.
yeah, parking at the TTC, that's rough.
Hashtag first world problems. But yeah. All right. So off to Blizzard Beach I go next.
Mhm.
Immediately as I'm in the parking lot, I'm going, hey guys, it's time to open up Typhoon Lagoon as another option because right now, and I get it with the cooler months in Florida, although maybe it'll stay like this. I don't know what the plan is, that they only had one water park open at a time.
Mhm.
I think they alternated between the two, but in January it was Blizzard Beach and this time it was Blizzard Beach. So I
Mhm.
know for sure. But they were, parking people along the curb. They were parking people on, some of the white lines at the end of a row of cars. And I was just like, it's too crowded. This is too crowded. And
Were you at Six Flags? Where were you?
it felt a little like that. And I was like, oh, well, you're getting your people into this park, but I don't know that this is the right way to do it. But okay, here I am. Um, and so, as I mentioned, I had the key to the car, so I decided to take my bag after all, and uh, walking, and I'm walking up to the park, going, I don't know what to do once I get here because, like, I did see that if you have your magic band, you just I didn't have a magic band with me, so I went up to the ticket booth. I was like, "Hi, I have a park reservation a hotel reservation," and she was like, "Oh, yeah, okay. What's your reservation number?" She looks it up, and she's like, "Okay, Jen and Frank." I'm like, "Yeah, but he's not here." She's like, "Okay, so do you not want both?" I was like, "Correct. It's just me." And so she gave me a ticket, and like it took 2 seconds,
Mm.
all of that. And so I go in. Also, if you're staying at a resort, you get a towel for free.
Oh,
That's nice.
okay.
And yeah, they're like, "What
To
resort?"
take home?
No, no one would ever take a towel from Disney home. What's wrong with you? And then I went over and I got a locker to put my bag in, and then I was like, "Okay, I'm here. Here I am at Blizzard Beach. What am I doing now?" And
It's
like,
been 30 years.
and like days prior, I was thinking, "Okay, I'll go. I'll hang out. I'll go in the wave pool thing. I'll do the lazy river. I probably won't. Maybe I'll do one of the slides. We'll see what they look like. All this stuff." Then I'll get lunch. Maybe I was even looking at menus of what they had there. I was like, I'll make a whole little thing of it. As soon as I was there, I was like, oh, this is too many people. I'm not staying that long doing it. So yeah, it was super crowded to me. I feel like I'll have to see what my footage is completely because I know in the beginning I'm kind of like, oh, you see the camera like this, and that's just me dodging people a little bit, but it doesn't look too packed initially because you're kind of in the front of the park. But all the chairs were covered in people's bags and things, and I didn't couldn't see like empty chairs at all. The lazy river was packed with people. The wave pool thing was packed. I just had Stacey Aswad's voice in my head the whole time while looking at all of the attractions. I also did a loop at one point and went, huh, is that it? This park was much bigger in my head because it's been 30 years since I was
Mhm.
here. Um, so yeah, like once I did a loop, I was like, okay, so what am I doing? Like, let's do something. So I got into the lazy river. And a few things to note. One, they sell alcohol at Blizzard Beach, and people partake in the alcohol and then go in the lazy river. So it's, a little bit, there's some party people in there and wanting to get all the tubes at once and screaming at each other over people and having a good time. I just a side note, not related to alcohol at all, I'm sure. There was a police presence I noticed in Blizzard Beach, more so than other parks. That's just me. That's all. That was just an observation. Um, so, so I get into the lazy river. I think I said this at dinner that night, or maybe on a car ride. What is time? I can't remember what happened where, but that's something I noticed over the age of 40. It's not fun to get into a tube in water in front of a bunch of people. Wow. What? And this one girl is like holding the tube. I was like, oh, sorry. She was like, no, I'm stabilizing it for you. You're good. I was like, okay, thank you. Okay, bye.
You were cold.
Hey, thank you. Here you go, ma'am. What? No, she didn't say that.
You're like, what's this 40-year-old mom doing on her own in Blizzard Beach?
Anyway, it's nice that you said
Get
40-year-old mom.
past
And
the
not 40.
self-conscious self-judgment.
So that, yeah, it's like all of this is already like, I'm here by myself. I'm already feeling weird. So I'm a lazy people in the lazy river. And the lazy river just, covered in leaves and debris. And again, you can't really help that with all the trees.
Yeah.
But probably an over 40 thing again is like, oh, I'm a little skeeved by
Water parks are definitely something that change
Yeah.
as you get older.
Yeah.
Like it's not the same.
No.
What happened?
No, it's weird. And the clutter. I do recall Mama and Papa Dillo back in the day, if we were in a lazy river, they would hate if like other people were in a lazy river. And it wasn't half the crowd that I experienced. But like as soon as people were bumping me, I was like, ugh, I can't, not relaxing. This is not. But it was funny. I saw that now she's on the lazy. Oh yeah. Frank was
Also, in hindsight,
Yeah.
surprising that Mama and Papa Dillo did the water parks as much as we did.
They did them. I feel like we went often enough. It wasn't.
More so,
Yeah.
I think I was surprised when we first. I'm trying to really remember when teenager or whatever it was that. Remember, surprised that we went, and
Yeah.
then surprised that we kept going.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I saw that Rob was saying how you were giving a play-by-play of everything I was doing in Blizzard Beach that day. So yeah, the lazy river was pretty much the only thing I did. I felt like had I been there with the kids, I'm sure I would have been in the big tidal pool. I'm sure we may have been on the lazy river a little bit more. They would probably do at least a couple of the smallish
Yeah.
slides, not like the 9-year-old who would be on
Summit
Summit
Plummet. Oh my
Plummet.
God.
So
I could picture on Velocicoaster before Summit Plummet. Oh
Yeah.
my God, I think Summit Plummet was my own personal line of like, nope.
But like, so I think I would do more, or like, even if me and you were there, like maybe I would have done like one of their little racing slides or something,
Theme
but
Park Rob with the comment right here. This is it. This is absolutely 100% true. Since I was a teenager,
yeah.
if I don't smell a dangerous level of chlorine, I'm not going. Listen, that is part of the experience.
Yeah.
I need that strong smell of chlorine at my water park.
Yeah, that's fair. I didn't smell any.
Oh,
Now that you say that. Just
that's problematic.
all right. Well, let's move on. I did it. It's done.
That's
Okay.
sure.
So anyway, so then I walked around a little bit and was like, okay, I think I'm good. I've been here an hour. I'm all set. Let's go. And that's the beauty of it being for free. And this
Mhm.
is also a beauty behind like having an annual pass, right? It's always like, if you decide you just don't want to be there
Reason-
anymore, you don't feel guilt about it. It's fine. You
Yep.
can just leave. So I got all my stuff and headed on out. Oh, but while I was in the lazy river, I had a thought come over me as I was getting skeeved by the leaves, probably to think of what am I doing next? And I was getting hungry because it was like close to 2 o'clock by this point. And I was like, oh, I keep meaning to look into whether or not Sanaa has gluten-free
Oh.
bread service. I
Mhm.
wonder if I can check that out because I'm in the area. I'm all the way down here by the animal kingdom, especially going to All Star. So look it up, Sanaa to go, gluten-free. I'm like, what? I'm doing this. And so as soon as I got back to the car, I put in the order, drive up to Animal Kingdom Lodge, my next stop, my third stop for the day.
Crazy.
And was like, "Hi, I'm just getting to go order from Sanaa." And he said, "Sorry, you're Uber?" And I said, "Oh no." He said, "No, Sanaa, did you say?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "No problem. Come on in." And I said, "Great." It was a lot easier than the Polynesian. So I went and parked. And as soon as I'm driving into like Animal Kingdom Lodge, I'm like, "Oh, I haven't been here in a while. Ooh, we got to come back here and eat next time because I love
Right.
this resort and this area." And so I had that whole thought, but I got to see some animals. I got
Mhm.
to see like 5 zebras, a bunch of antelope, the giraffe eating a tree. It was fantastic. Got my Sanaa to go. And then I was like, oh, maybe I'll find a good spot at Animal Kingdom to eat this. And then I was like, nah, maybe I'll just go back to the room. And like, because the room was ready when I was
Yeah.
waiting for the rental car,
Yeah.
which was crazy too, that it
Yeah.
was ready that early. So I went back to the room and I was like, okay, I'm going to eat this. I'm going to shower and I'm going to take a nap because if I'm going to Jelly Rolls tonight, I need a nap. So I did all those things. And by the time I woke up, Frank was 15 minutes away. And then his portion of the trip begins.
uh, we're recording this on the 20th of March, but if you're listening to it on the 27th, then I probably have dropped like a walk around video of All Star Sports at this
Yeah.
point. It's been a long time. I would say a good 15 years since I've stayed at sports.
Mm-hmm.
I think similarly to how we talked about Pop Century in the fall, that the rooms look great.
Mm-hmm.
And the lobby and the food court areas is the usual. The exterior situation is a situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I avoided a lot of it because we had a first floor room.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a chance to do a walk around. So I
Yeah.
basically was like in the room, out of the room, in the room, and I'm gone. And that was it. So I didn't see, but I can
And
imagine.
again, by like Disney, by other comparing it to whatever else,
Yeah.
you just feel like I stayed at a Hampton Inn in Fort Pierce for my
Yeah.
spring training visit. Felt like a very Florida hotel,
Yeah.
meaning felt a little old, maybe a little moldy, whatever you want, whatever that Florida feeling is in an
We
older
all know it.
hotel.
Musty.
And the surrounding area is, you're in the woods usually where these hotels are off the highway.
Hmm.
But and that's what All Star Sports is. I mean, it's so close to a wooded area
Yeah.
that it starts to feel intrusive. But was it a problem? No. But can you see where it could use a little work?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that. And I was trying to remember when I stayed there last. I feel like it's probably been within the decade because I feel like the 10-year-old was probably a toddler or something last time we were there. But
Jeff was no, so he's like music, movies for November. No, I don't think you have to switch the reservation.
I also think they're probably the same. When
Yeah,
I was there in January, I don't think I mentioned that because we were in movies, we stayed in like the Love Bug portion,
yeah,
which to me is the older area of
mhm, yeah.
of the
Not the Toy
resort.
Story era. Yeah,
Right. So I think they're probably all the same at this point.
yeah.
And
I
not
don't.
bad, but
No,
just need
I
some
thought the interior of the room was great.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So, and again, compared to the last time I was there, and I could think of some times, and it just the days of the carpet that used to
Yeah.
be in an all-star
Yes.
resort.
Yep.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
no, this is a much better situation.
Oh yeah, for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
But the thing that I just want to say about Florida, I love driving around Florida. I had a rental for the
Uh-huh.
first couple of days, and I drove up 95, basically up and down 95 between Fort Pierce and Deerfield Beach, where the Renaissance Festival was. I was up and down there for 3 days. I love driving around Florida,
Mhm.
and for whatever the reason, I don't know what it is, but it was the weather was great, everything was great. So
Mhm.
I just felt like it felt nostalgic and it was comfortable, and I really enjoy it. But Theme Park Rob came to pick me up at the uh, Palm Beach dollar rent-a-car on Sunday morning, and we went up to a 1:00 game, and then drove back to be there just as Jen was waking up from her nap. But we had a 6:30 Allen Comp at 6:30, 35.
Yeah.
We had a lot of reservations. I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
6:30 and a 6:40. Yeah.
We had a lot of things.
Mhm.
So we went over to Yacht Club. Yacht Club parking lot was busy on the side that they want us to park on,
Yes.
which probably indicated what we were in for the next couple of hours.
Yeah. As
So
was the lobby. The lobby
Yeah.
itself was crowded.
It was crowded and
Yeah.
darker than usual. It was rainy, so whatever. It was just, the mood had shifted.
Mhm.
So the Allen Compass situation where we had our dinner,
Mhm.
we've eaten there several times over the years now, especially in the time of this podcast.
Yeah.
And the reservations are aplenty
Mhm.
when you're on the app. This was the most crowded
Mhm.
I have ever seen Allen Compass in my life.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know what happened, but we were with Lewis and Val, and everyone had converged at some point. And Theme Park Rob, who brought me up,
Mhm.
I expect a Disney dining. Jen your life over there. I expect a Disney dining. This is what I expect.
Mhm.
I expect it to be 75 minutes. Like
Mhm.
that is what I expect my dining time to be. If I am out in 60, depending on the restaurant,
Mhm.
great. I'm getting
Mhm.
back to it. Once the 90-minute mark hits, I get very antsy. And it was already like, it was a day. I had a hot dog, I had a beer.
Uh-huh.
Like, I was hungry by that point. And so to wait, the menu they minimized the menu,
Mhm.
less offerings for entrees. We
Yeah.
didn't do appetizers.
Yeah.
So it was a 60-minute wait minimum for our entrees.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'll let Lewis and Val and Theme Park Rob
Correct us if we're wrong
correct
there.
us if we're wrong. It was
Yeah.
at least 60.
Mhm.
And considering the food was good.
Mhm.
What the offerings were, and not that there was like the greatest of like, ooh, that sounds really good. There wasn't one of those.
Mhm.
To wait 60 minutes for me to get creamy pasta, I was
Mhm.
like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And the waiter knew. He
Mhm.
knew. He was hot. He was ducking us.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass it back to you for a little bit, so I don't.
Yeah, I think that was the weird part for me is that we love the communication. Oh, we are big on customer service. We are big on all of that. Had there been hey, I'm so sorry that things are taking a little bit longer. I know you guys have been sitting for a while. We are short staffed tonight. We have a problem in the kitchen tonight. Something. Maybe also, would you want to put it in an appetizer? It might be a little bit, just something
Mhm.
to communicate to us as opposed to this is all normal until they put the food on the table and go, we know you waited a long time for this. We're going to give you all desserts, which
Yeah,
was lovely
lovely.
to offer. But again, the communication piece beforehand probably would have made us feel a little bit better.
The pivotal point for me is that another cast member came over with whatever their bread sampling offer
Okay.
appetizer is, and they put it on the plate and on the table, and he's explaining what each plate is and the dipping compared to the bread,
Mhm.
which we've had before, and it's delicious.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, are they doing this because we're waiting so long?
Yeah.
But we also have to say we didn't
We didn't
order
order
this.
that.
So my favorite part was then we said we don't order it, and he takes it away.
Yeah.
And he takes it away, and then I see him talking to our waiter,
Uh-huh.
and the waiter doesn't have the peace of mind to go, "Oh man," which I'm sure also prompted him going, "Oh, now they're going to be really angry." So
Right.
that's probably when he started working on the dessert. But not to say, you know what, you should take the bread because you're waiting so long.
Yes.
That was the point where I was like, all right, now
Yeah.
we're not using common sense,
Right. Right.
and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that is where it tipped a little for me, and especially Jelly Rolls is a funny place, and I wasn't sure if cast member Sundays was still a thing or not,
Yeah.
where cast members get in free, but the 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock hour is so hit and miss.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have a 6:30 reservation, I was expecting, and we didn't get in there till like 6:50 or whatever.
Yeah.
But I was expecting to be done no later than 8:15.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which would put us in by between 8:30 and 8:45.
Yeah.
So to not be able to leave there by 9 o'clock.
Yeah. Because
Right.
I had looked at the clock at one point and it was 10 to 9. And I was like, good thing we're not going for fireworks because like going into the park or something.
Yeah. I'm sure there are people. I wasn't timing everyone else.
Yeah.
But what was funny is then, everyone gets their own. They like specified you each get your own dessert. Like, we're not just one dessert to share.
Right.
We're each getting one.
Yeah.
And then, by the way, you're gonna wait 20 to 25 minutes for that.
Right. So Jeffers was saying nothing like offering free dessert so you can wait another 15 minutes. Val adding, longer than 15. That was also interesting. So yeah, and that is the comment that we made at the table as well. Like, we know we made you wait a really long time, so now we're gonna make you wait even longer for more food. And we were like, I think we all felt pretty full from dinner. Like, I don't. And again, correct us if we're wrong, but I don't think I would have ordered a dessert after I had like steak and like I was good. But I was like, well, if you're offering it, sure. But yeah, then we waited a while for the desserts and we were like, okay, but we really just want to go.
Well, I'm gonna ask the question: are you trying to get back to Epcot for the show? Are you going somewhere else this evening?
Exactly.
Are you headed? Like, you gotta do your due diligence in making sure you're not preventing your guests from doing anything. And I was sure we could have spoke up and be like, "We're trying to get back for Epcot." Like, we could have done that, but. Maybe that's what he anticipates, but it was that was interesting of like, thanks for the desserts, but why are you making us wait another half an hour?
Yeah it was weird. And I think again, if we hadn't had somewhere we were trying to get to and had another plan for the evening, this was the plan, like if this was just our plan, which was just dinner, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal, and we would have, because we're just all hanging out and that's fine. But because we're like, but we want to get to Jelly Rolls, there was this like anticipation for that. So and again, I think it all comes down to communication. And I saw Louis say, just lie to us. That's all we want as customers. Just say something, just, and that's all you had to do. And Theme Park Rob is saying he was giving angry eyes while waiting for it.
Me? I was?
He said, but to be fair, we all were.
I mean, but and it's when you come over to the other tables and you back your way out.
Oh yeah.
When you do your table's here, I'm here, and then I'm gonna make sure I turn counterclockwise to go the other way.
Sure. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, definitely. So we were all very happy to go back out to the boardwalk after that because we were like, yay, fresh air and nighttime on the boardwalk. Yay.
Oh, yeah. And all of that was glorious, right? Then it was like just like a glorious walk to the boardwalk because the fireworks luminous. Is it luminous? Yes. Like, people want to say harmonious, and then my brain wants to say disharmonious, which is not the thing because it's
isn't it?
It's just luminous. It was very lovely
going on.
And that because it had rained a little bit, so then the clouds were breaking. Like, the dolphin was like lit up really, really nice too. It was just
the boardwalk was shiny. Shiny from
very, very nice. But and that brought us to a very crowded Jelly Rolls where, like we said, the convergence of those three things. And we'll talk about Jelly Rolls more in April and that whole experience, but that was some classic good Jelly Rolls.
I think I because Theme Park Rob, Val, and Louis had never been there before, I was like, yay, we're gonna sit at a table and it's gonna be a great rest of the night. And then we're standing, I'm like, oh no, we can't stand this whole time. No. This is not the experience I want for them. I want them in it. We were able to get like kind of stool seating, which was fine, but like, still the table is where it's at. But
Yeah.
we took what we could get, and we'll go more in depth in that because we still at 50 minutes in have a whole day to discuss.
So Jen checks out on Monday morning.
Yes.
And heads back to New York.
Yeah.
I bought a one park ticket for Hollywood Studios. I had a very long line at the bus for Hollywood Studios on a Monday morning at spring break, and the longest of the 4 lines. But I don't know which bus had just left more recently, but they called in an extra bus to take the rest of the people to Hollywood Studios. So got there before 8 o'clock. Got through with the early entry situation, lined up for Tower of Terror. And let me just, I'm skipping really fast because I'm like, 50 minutes.
I know.
So prior to, I was debating what would I rope drop.
Yeah.
Would I rope drop Rise of the Resistance, which I was just on 3 weeks ago in Disneyland, or would I go to Tower of Terror, knowing that I only had been on Mission Breakout, and it's Tower of Terror. I will say that the instinct, like with every fiber of my being these days, seems to be like, go on Rise of the Resistance, right?
Yeah.
And even when we went to meet up in September, we ended up doing Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster back to back first because Rise was down. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go Tower of Terror. So I make the turn and line up. I'm on Tower of Terror by 8:15, I think, and then learn that Rise was down when rope dropped. So everyone and their families went to Slinky Dog. Basically, Slinky Dog was a disaster first thing in the morning. And then by the time, because I was like Ronto wrap for breakfast, by the time I crossed over to Galaxy's Edge, Rise had opened. I was like, oh no, I'm gonna go on Rise, and walked right on. So to get both of those back to back before 9 o'clock basically was some gymnastics, I think. But I teased this in the Discord, so I just want to make mention.
Yeah.
It was the tamest ride of Tower of Terror I have ever been on.
Interesting.
I knew immediately when they closed the doors and just brought you up to that first floor. I was like, did they just grease all these wheels? it was the smoothest, like, oh, here we are, and the ding, and the door. I'm like, okay, and then it goes up again, and it's very smooth, and I'm like, which, listen, great, it's not going to hurt as much, but also I want a rickety elevator. What's going on? So then you go through and you're going into the shaft there at the end, and it was a strange sequence of drops that like none of which I've experienced before. It just felt like, now we were talking about how Mission Breakout in Disneyland is kind of like a yo-yo.
Yeah.
Bounces you up and down. So I'm like, okay, let's see. And I was like, is it tame because I got tossed around in Disneyland, and now I think this is tamer, or it just felt like, or is it, this is the first ride of the morning, basically, so we're just easing into what we're giving people. It was a strange ride.
That's so weird.
Of Tower of Terror that makes me worried that they're gonna close it and put something else in there. But that's where my headspace was. I'm like, I'm going on Muppets last time today. They can't close this down, okay?
I mean, just keep chipping things off of our lists.
But Rock and Roller Coaster was also closed at the time. So I didn't and I don't know if I would have done. I was like, I can't be dizzy first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
So again, just good to, again, why am I speed walking across the park to get the same thing as you? Like, just take your time.
Take it in. Take it in.
You worked here for 4 years. You want to just take it all in. You can go slow. You've seen every inch of this park.
Yeah.
Just slow down. And I don't like, what's so funny is I don't even remember crossing behind where the commissary. We always cut the path of commissary. I think I actually went around. So I was like, let me just, I don't know what paths I'm going to be walking in my half day here. So let me just try to do things I don't normally do. So did Rise, did a Ronto wrap, and then connected with Lewis and Val for Oga's,
Mhm.
which was like strictly a one drink situation because my plan was Muppets at 11, Muppets at 1, and
Uh-huh.
get out by 1:30, which
Yeah.
I'll get to in a second. That so Oga's, it was fairly empty in Oga's,
Uh-huh.
which was lovely in the morning. So a little more open. We were at our usual table that we're at for the meetups. It was like they knew,
Uh-huh.
and that was all. That was a stormtroopers did a patrol situation walking through. That's what you need.
Mhm.
So then we head over the Muppets for the first time, and I don't know. Like, here's the thing: I was at Filler Magic, like I said, and seeing the interior Muppet stuff, in Disneyland, I was angry, sad, like I was just
Mhm.
all the feelings, and so I really didn't know like how I was going to act
Yeah.
my last day
Yeah.
seeing Muppet Vision 3D, and I was happy that I could just enjoy it, honestly.
Uh-huh.
Like, it was just like, "Oh, okay, good." And I think they were doing more than half, I heard them say 270 at one point in a 500 plus seat
Mhm.
theater or whatever. So they were putting in more than half there in the early morning. And, um, just we know the show. We know, just take it all in,
Mhm.
enjoy the scenes, look for the little things that brought you joy over the years. Um, we did the first viewing in the back row, and then we're like, all right, we have the 11:30 for Mama Melrose's.
Mhm.
Let's hit that. Mama Melrose's with the antithesis of Alan Compass, where we were done in 35
Oh
minutes.
my god. You know what? That's true though. When I was there in January, it was quick. We were like, "Oh, okay. It's out already."
And they said it. They said, "Oh well, 12 to 1 is when it picks up a little bit."
Uh-huh.
So, but yeah, they were like, "We want you out by 12."
Wow.
It
That's
was,
crazy.
it was, and so then that messes with my timeline in the opposite way of
Uh-huh.
going, oh, and Lewis and Val both were like, "What else do you want to do?" And I was like, "I don't know. I thought this was gonna be like 60 minutes. We'd wander over, do Muppets one
Right.
more time, and I'd wander out." So then we ended up doing Muppets back to back.
Oh
So
man,
I
nice.
saw Muppets 3 times,
Mhm.
and I did something, and Lewis and Val don't know this because I
Oh.
wanted to save it for the podcast. I have
Mhm.
never sat in the front row of the theater before.
Oh, okay.
So I sat the second viewing that with Lewis and Val. I sat in the front row with them,
Mm.
which I was like, "Oh,
Mhm.
this is different," and
Yeah.
then promptly went back to the back row because I like sitting in the back and looking at the audience. That's like what I do. And so like Sweetums crossing it, like just got
Yeah.
to pay a little more attention to Sweetums, got to get a more clear view of Swedish Chef in the back, that kind of thing. So that was fun. Lewis is asking, have I sat in the way back before? I just like sitting in the back of theaters, period.
Mhm.
That is
Yeah.
just my thing, because watching the audience, like, I know everyone jokes, like when I post pictures in the Discord when I'm at wrestling events, when I'm all the way up at top. And
Mhm.
yes, part of it is because I don't want to pay for a more expensive ticket,
Sure.
but part of it is
Mhm.
also because I need the crowd to be part of my experience.
Yeah.
So, which is why I always love, I will always buy playoff tickets in the upper deck for Mets games because,
Mhm.
again, the crowd is gonna be a frenzy.
Yeah.
And even like when we used to go to Islander playoff games, we were at
Mhm.
the back of our section, so we had we were in the
Yeah.
last row of our section, so we had the whole section in front of us. So
Yeah.
that was always just part of it for
Yeah.
me. So and it was hard after the third viewing where it was like 1:20,
Mhm.
and I was like, and do I do one more? But I was like, no, I think I did it. I think I
Yeah.
have my fill. I don't think I can do it anymore. Um, and I wasn't sad. I was just like, okay, like I did
Mhm.
it. I
Yeah.
got here. I saw it,
Yeah.
and it is hard when it's that's the thing. And our friend Adam
Mhm.
on the X was talking about, oh, you think, he said, are you saying that Hollywood Studios is a half day park now? And he was joking, and I was like,
Mhm.
it's the half day park I would pay a 1 day ticket for.
Yeah.
Like, and we talk about this all the time. In the day, it was, if you could go Hollywood Studios, Citizens of Hollywood, great movie ride, Muppet Vision, Star
Mhm.
Tours, that was all you needed. That
Yeah.
was all you needed
Yeah.
to enjoy the park. And that, and I was like, oh, maybe I don't feel that way with Muppets taken out of it. But really, Tower of Terror and Galaxy's Edge is enough to put me in that park for half a day still.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then it was over.
Lewis is saying, closing in on your near-death passenger experience. What's this about? What is this?
So here, and again, similar to like, I got to get to where I need to be, that I shouldn't have left at 1:30. And I kind of knew that at 1:20, but I felt like if I push it to 2, I'm gonna, like, it was just that it was basically 30 minutes that I was like, I don't want anything to happen if I push it to 2:00. And then I had a 5:45 flight or something like that, which I'll also try to get in here within the next 9 minutes. So Lewis offers to drive me back to All-Star Sports. And I was like, okay. And I was like, I'll take and again, I'm like, I'll take the bus because I knew I had the time. I was going to do a walk around anyway. But he also offered to drive me to the airport. And I was like, you know what? I think I still have enough time to walk around and take it easy. You had said, did you end up going in the pool? And it was just too cool to go. But between Hollywood Studios and All-Star Sports, I think Lewis almost missed about 7 or 8 turns, something like that. It was probably only 2 or 3, but I was like, no, like pointing. And then he thought that I didn't want him to drive me to the airport anymore. That's not true. I was like, I got time. I got 4 hours still until my flight, so I got at least 1 hour here. Then I can just grab content or whatever. And just charge my phone and relax is my thinking too. But then, so I get to. What's funny is I get to the airport early. I get to MCO early. And then we'll wrap up with a Q&A about Hollywood Studios because I know I just ran through that a lot. Get to MCO, and I see that a flight to LaGuardia is going. LaGuardia.
Yeah, I don't know how you're saying that. It's 10:00. That's why.
Yeah. At 4:10 p.m. or something like that. And so it's like 3:50 when I get there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, can I make this LaGuardia flight because it'd take longer to get back from JFK? And the doors were already closed for me to see it. You don't want to see it left or anything like that. So then I go and sit at JFK, the gate for the JFK flight. And so I'm on the phone with Mrs. Dillo, and I hear, we're looking for 3 passengers to switch to a flight to Newark, and we'll offer a several $100 travel voucher. And I'm like, huh? And I'm like, and I'm flying solo, right? So, and Mrs. Dillo's like, what? I'm like, they're offering set amount of money. I don't want to say it's a large amount of money for a flight. And I was like, to Newark. And she's like, when does it leave? And I was like, it gets in an hour earlier than when I'm getting. She's like, I'll go pick you up in Newark because it's not the kid's bedtime yet. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I go over and I go, hi. I've never done this before. I've never tried to get a travel voucher. Like, how does it work? I don't know how it works.
But if you don't have any more, that's okay. It's okay. I'll go sit down. It's fine.
And then they said, did you check your bag? And I was like, did I need to check my bag? I didn't check my bag. They're like, no, it's good that you have your idiot. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, okay, great. And for whatever reason, they're struggling to put in the information. And they're like, and they finally get my boarding pass, and they're like, just go one gate over, and they're boarded. They're almost on boarding. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, I'll go back and put your stuff in. Famous last words.
Yeah.
So there was 2 other people, and I see them going, but they had checked their bags, so they're like, no, we don't want to go and from Newark and then get the bags and what.
Yeah.
So they say no. I get on the flight. We're about to take off. Those 2 people come on the flight. I hear them say, the attendant's like, oh, you just made it just in time. And they're like, well, they offered, and they say twice the amount of money that I already high amount of money that I got. And I was like, okay. And the next morning I see that. I'm like, hi, excuse me, where do I find the money for And,
Mhm.
we fly JetBlue here
Mhm.
a lot. So I am a big fan, and I've used it several times, and I mean this sincerely, of the X Twitter's DM on JetBlue. I find it the best
Same.
version of their customer service
Yep.
anywhere,
Yep, same.
anywhere.
Mhm.
They have solved so much for me over the years,
Yep.
and I feel I sound like I'm a problematic fly. I'm not. It's just like whatever. One time they canceled my flight, but they got me
Yeah.
out of Westchester when I went to Universal.
Yeah.
Twice with Papa Dillo being unable to go on flights.
Mhm.
Like I've
Yeah.
gone through them many, many times to take care of my stuff.
Mhm.
And so I go, hi, can you ask her? I was like, where do I find, or how long do I have to wait for
Yeah.
this money to appear?
Yeah.
Number two, can you clarify what the amount is?
Right.
Because I was told one thing, but the other two people received double. And I
Uh-huh.
said the amount on both. So the response shorter than I anticipate from this lovely service that they have. They go, well, it indicates that you no-showed the flight to Newark, so you're not entitled to anything. And I'm like, what?
Uh-huh.
So I go, well, that is not the case.
Mhm.
Here's everything that happened. You
Yeah.
can go back and check and review it. And
Mhm.
we have passed this on to a travel specialist. Okay, great. An
Mhm.
hour, not even an hour later, even before they responded on the DM,
Yeah.
the email for double the amount
Mhm.
was in my travel bank.
Yeah.
So woohoo, meet up, here we come.
Oh my god. Well, and when you said that, a few things crossed my mind. I'm like, did you hear this amount because it was 2 people? And so maybe in total they got that
Maybe.
amount? Or they could have upped the ante for them to try
Correct.
to get them on.
I'm thinking
Because
they
I've
upped the
heard of
ante.
that happening on other airlines before where they
Yeah.
keep raising it to really try to pull people on, but
Yeah,
yeah.
the way they framed it at the time, I thought they each got it, but
Yeah.
after I sent the message, I was like, "Oh, maybe they just split the."
Yeah. Mhm.
But I was like, "Oh, maybe they meant for round trip." Like I didn't know like what. Who cares? I got it.
Yeah.
That's all.
Maybe one more Muppets visit. Theme
Theme
park
park
Rabbits thing.
Rob.
One more Muppets, one more Jelly Rolls night. Jeffers, you
Woo!
win. Let's go. A question about Mama Melrose's.
Yes.
How was your nostalgia being in Mama Melrose's?
Has that place like besides I was like, okay, Ryan Seacrest wasn't famous before I got here, so the last time I don't think I've been there pre American Idol. Like
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
since the advent of American Idol in 2001. I don't think
Yeah.
I've been there. So other than that, that place is completely unchanged,
Yeah. Mhm.
unchanged,
Yeah.
and and Lewis and Val are saying that the level of detail.
Mhm.
And it's just a random hodgepodge of props, but it makes it work so well.
Yes.
You think about the dang Beaches and Cream renovation with their
Mhm.
sleek and the Disney artwork, which
Mhm.
no, I want, you think of a Jock Lindsay's, like,
Mhm.
which is a great thematic bar in Disney
Yeah.
Springs. Like, that's the kind of stuff you want. And that's what Mama Melrose's has is you feel like you are in an old Italian restaurant,
Yeah.
you know.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I was like, God, I wish I had pictures of what it was like 30 to really see. Is like that big fish still on the wall? Like, was it there
Right.
30 years
Yeah.
ago? I think
Mm.
so.
Yeah. We'll have to, is it in any of our VHS
I
footage
don't
somewhere?
know.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna have to look through it. But similarly, when you were there a month ago, and I talked about this with my experience at Vivo on City Walk last
Mhm.
year, that Italian food in Florida,
Mm.
there's a
Oh, sure.
different consistency of sauce that's going on. I can't
Yeah.
explain.
Yeah.
Food is good.
Yeah. No, but it was good. Right. I mean, that's the thing. It's different. It doesn't make it
Yeah,
bad. It's just
right.
different. But yeah. Mhm. No, I felt the same way about the nostalgia of the restaurant itself.
Yeah,
And they're gonna ruin this. And it's one of those few places.
but who's going to that back corner anymore? Like, and they said they were going to be busy, and I believe them. Especially if much like Alan Compass was, if
Yeah.
it's what's still up, people are going to go. They'll find a way. But
I
who's
mean,
who's going to that corner?
we had like a 5 5:30 reservation maybe that night. I don't remember exactly. It was around there though, give or take a half hour. And we were waiting outside for our table a little bit, and we had the reservation, but there were enough people like where we had to wait outside, and there were people in the lobby area and stuff. So I felt like there was a good crowd of people in there. Although they had many reservations, there was a good crowd in the restaurant itself. But
Yeah, and I mean, in that whole area, it's unfortunate.
yeah,
And if you had told me it was being closed for an expansion of Star Wars, I probably wouldn't be so aggravated.
yeah.
It would make sense, but
Mhm.
this does not make sense. But at the same time, the space has been falling apart, not in
Yeah,
physically, but just like store closes, the Christmas shop is gone.
yeah,
Like these are the things that are
yeah.
indicators that it is not going to be here forever.
Right.
Uh, and to say, and I said this a couple times already prior to this recording,
Mhm.
that the Disneyland weather was so good that really made the trip so great, right? Like,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
it's because it was no humidity. Like that was a stark contrast for me compared to recent Walt Disney World visits.
Mhm.
On Monday at Hollywood Studios, hashtag always MTM by God, 70 degrees with a
Mhm.
breeze, and the sun was out, and it was like Walt Disney World was like, ha ha ha, sucker, you're back.
We got you. We knew what we had to
Yeah,
do for this one last time.
that was a perfect Walt Disney World weather day on
Yeah.
Monday. St. Patrick's Day, as it were, with lots of people wearing green and
Yeah.
lots of Kermit shirts. I noticed
Mm.
not
Yeah.
as many as I would have liked, but some.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's for me getting there, even though it was windy that morning, it was like 86 degrees that day. And I knew after it was going to rain later in the day that it was supposed to cool down. But knowing it was going from like 86 to 70 was like, what? This is a crazy jump that it's doing in
Yeah,
the opposite direction, or not a decline, not a jump. But also coming from 6 weeks ago, having been there, like,
yeah,
we had more of those 70-degree days that are like those perfect Disney weather days, but coming into that humidity outside of MCO, I'm like, "Oh, alright, we're back. Okay." Doesn't last long.
yeah. And so I like, and and it's really particularly great when everything lines up like that. And I know the first two meetups we tried to have a jelly roll situation.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that Lewis and Val and Theme Park Rob got to see it
Mhm.
before. And Theme Park Rob's still saying he's gonna go for one more time
Yeah.
before make us all jealous that
Mhm.
he's going back. But he should go
Yeah.
often.
Yeah. Well, we're
The
gonna have
$22
someone there.
cover is, but it is what it is. Is there anything, Jen, at this point
Uh-huh.
that would make you do a similar trip in the future?
I mean, I'm sure. I don't know that if you said this 2
Right.
months ago that I would. But, is there anything coming to mind initially? I don't know. I don't know that anything's popping up because, Disney's just breaking our heart constantly and getting rid of so many of our favorite things and so many of our Dillo must-dos. So what's left on our
Mm.
must-do list? So maybe any of those things. What do we Don't you touch the people mover, Disney. You touch the people mover, it's all over.
I got if they I mean, if I can only imagine the crowds for People Mover if they announced.
Listen, here's what the people mover would get me to do is fly down and just stay on it all day. That's all I'm doing an
I'm
entire
not getting off this
day.
ride.
You can't drag me off of this.
Our
On
friend
y'all day.
Troy at Dr. Troy at the Disney Assemble podcast asks, "How long does Animal Kingdom need to be around before nostalgia begins to creep in?"
What is it at 30 years? Are we at 30 years?
It's
Still not
27
there.
years. Apparently. Um, yeah, well, we're coming up on the anniversary pretty soon in April. Here's what I think it's too late. I thought maybe like 4 years ago that the tide was turning on Animal.
Mm,
I started to see the light on Animal Kingdom. It was had been there a couple of times within the same calendar year, for the first time ever. And I could see the positive attributes.
uh-huh.
I just don't go there consistently enough to have it get to that point. And there's nothing driving me there. I said I really hope this Indiana Jones thing is I said it on the podcast that I guessed it on this past Monday. Make sure you go in and check out my appearance talking about Disneyland on Adventures and Mousecapades, ourmousecapades.com. I was talking about Disneyland, but I talked about Indiana Jones and in the Animal Kingdom that, I have big expectations for, and I'm not delaying my expectations on Indiana Jones and Animal Kingdom. It has to be something that not only I think pays an homage to what has happened, but establishes something for the IP in the future. And I think I'm gonna be too old by the time that's all done to really appreciate the Animal Kingdom for what it is.
Yeah. Dr. Troy also mentioning one last hike around Tom Sawyer Island. Probably not in the cards. But he did say nomad nostalgia and nothing else. I'll give you a little bit of that. There's a little bit of, if I'm in Animal Kingdom at this point, like I have it in my head that's how I'm ending my day at noon, is at Nomad. Like that is part of my thing now. I'm not at Animal Kingdom enough.
Yeah.
Similar to you. When we did the Snidillo clan did the 21 and 22 trip, that's how we kicked off our trips, were the half days at AK that ended at Nomad. And so there is something to that. It is not nearly the same weight as the other parks. And I do have a much bigger appreciation for the park overall since starting the podcast. So even with living down there, like there's nothing nostalgic for me with Animal Kingdom. But now since doing the podcast, having been down there with our whole family in 2018, with my family and with the meetup, like now there are these things building. I don't know that they will fall into the same nostalgic type bucket, but I mean, I feel like it's at a much better place than it used to be.
It's definitely at a much better place than it
Yeah.
was pre-podcast. And I think my big thing will be that the 9-year-old is now tall enough to go on Flight of Passage for the first time. So that's going to open up, I think, a whole other realm for her.
Yeah.
With the Avatar stuff, I think she doesn't like that boat ride. She doesn't like the Navi River journey.
Yeah.
But she's like, it's too slow.
Yeah.
And no. So, but Flight of Passage, that might change things a little bit. And Everest, for that matter, she hasn't been on Everest yet. She's been on. She's ready to go on
Everest.
Yeah. She hasn't. Everest is the one she hasn't done yet.
Yeah, she's gonna love that. Yeah, I mean, it is a very pretty park, and I have appreciation for it. I can see the benefits of it. I can see the good things about it. I've learned way more about it in recent years than I ever even knew about it. I think I'm in a comfortable place with it right now.
Yeah, I mean, we do the on-running joke, but I definitely, I would say my feelings were a little closer to real back in 2018.
Yeah.
And we didn't even know that then. We were like, oh, it's the Animal Kingdom's 20th anniversary. And we did that podcast episode in 2018. And we're immediately like, uh-oh, we don't like this park. We had no idea.
We didn't really realize that.
We didn't realize it wasn't the same. Like that was legit. I mean, it probably would be good to bring that one up again at some point.
Oh my God.
But it is, I mean, it was to the point that Mr. Snidillo and Mrs. Dillo are like, we're coming on the podcast and talking to you about this problem you have.
Like, what? What do you mean? It's fine. It's totally fine.
So that's, I mean, and then it really became like, oh, we don't like this. It was a little more legitimate. It doesn't do it for us. Just the same way that California Adventure for me with the carnival rides, the swing and the tilt-a-whirl or whatever, like I don't need that. So I don't need zoo-like elements in my Disney theme park. It's not something that I don't want to start digging a hole again. I liked a lot of the things now. I like it.
We're not AK haters.
Swear. But that wraps up both of. We thought we were gonna do this in an hour because we were like we were only there for 24 hours.
And we were speed talking too. Imagine if we took our time, it would be a 3-part series for 24 hours.
And the trip report part 3, hours 18 through 24. Oh my god. But we will be back again with another episode of Theme Park Thursday, so make sure to check out the pod catchers for the drops every Thursday. Make sure you follow us in all the places at Dillo's Diz on the threads in the Blue Sky, which much like Instagram, we try to give more love and it doesn't work out. Threads we kind of like. And then over on YouTube, you can subscribe there as well. Until next time, she's Jen and I'm Frank. Bye-bye.
Deuces. The Dillo's Diz podcast is hosted by Frank Cardillo and Jen Cardillo Snyder. Music produced by Matt Harvey. Logos and video production courtesy of Snidillo Studios. Dillo's Diz Resort is our Patreon with tiers starting as low as $1 per month. You can visit dillosdizresort.com to learn more. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, X Twitter, and Facebook at Dillo's Diz. Check us out on YouTube by visiting youtube.com/DillosDiz. Don't forget to like and subscribe while you're there. We also have merch available on TeePublic and Etsy. For all this and more, visit our one-stop shop, dillosdiz.com. Dillo's Diz Podcast 2025.